Breanna and Breanna Stewart actually talking about the loss, what happened, things like that. People are loving what Sabrina said about Caitlin Clark and just showing love.
I'm so happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
The current champions Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever absolutely dominated the New York Liberty, and the aftermath was incredible for basketball lovers. After a 14-point loss, Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart stormed up to the post-game mic looking like they had just lived through a Caitlin Clark highlight reel because they had, but instead of sidestepping questions or pointing fingers at the referees, they did something that left everyone in awe. Let's see if they were truly respectful or if they were just gracefully swallowing the L after a straight-up schooling did the Liberty show class. Let's move on to the phrase, unquestionable, exists for a reason, and Caitlin Clark is unquestionably unquestionable. She enters that court and makes 3 threes in 38 seconds in the first quarter. Caitlin Clark was simply unique. Taylor Clark is the sister. We've needed Caitlin Clark's generational talent. She is the sister and the 4th-ranked player in the league for MVP. Clark is a true all-star. She is the Michael Jordan of this. Let's go back in time and create the scene. The New York Liberty entered the game with their championship ring still in hand, undefeated, and on a high note. This was supposed to be a routine victory over an Indiana team that had just survived 5 games without their star player. The Fever were supposed to compete, not destroy, but as soon as Caitlin Clark took the court again, the game was over. She scored 32 points, disheveled 7 assists, and put together a personal mixtape of incredible moments that likely deserves its own ESPN 30 for 30. Cunningham is down behind the play, but they have Caitlin Clark to shoot away from 2 players with incredible up. Cunningham Clark's ball was another long 3. She's back, but the big twist wasn't dismissing it or covering it up with platitudes. When asked how Clark looked after her injury break, Sabrina didn't hold back and complimented Caitlin's range. I don't think it's a defeat because we know what a great shooter she is, and I think we just gave her too many easy ones. On a personal level, I'm really happy to see her back out on the court healthy, because obviously it's important for them. Sabrina and Stewie gave Caitlin the flowers she truly earned. They didn't flinch, they didn't deflect, they acknowledged reality like we go on runs, they do as well. It didn't end there. Her composure under duress and her ability to pull off clean looks against close coverage aren't the result of media training or faux modesty. Rather, it's one professional shooter giving credit to another. Even though Caitlin Clark put on a show that only she can by leading the team to a victory over the New York Liberty, Sabrina went completely human when she said that she was glad to see him back healthy, not just for Indiana but for Caitlin herself. That kind of comment isn't appropriate for someone you consider a media darling. Rather, it's appropriate for a legitimate peer. Caitlin was able to hit the logo bombs 3 times in 38 seconds, and she was able to destroy the court. Come on, though, the thing that hit hardest was when she admitted that they gave Caitlin far too many open looks. When someone with Sabrina's resume tells you that Clark's jumper is automatic with even a little daylight, you believe her because she knows exactly what it takes to hit from the parking lot. Let that sink in. Sabrina Ionescu, a walking 3-point clinic, admits that Caitlin's range is an issue even when you think you've closed the gap. Let's see what some people are saying right now. I have a 100% fever, but this year's first team I watched was Clash. Despite my fever, I thought the game was fantastic, ladies, and I love the sportsmanship. Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player in the world, the best I have ever seen, the difference maker, the needle mover, and the face of basketball. The 2-time MVP and champion Breanna Stewart could have easily shifted the blame or nitpicked officiating, but instead she chose to play it cool and not sugarcoat anything. Stewie recognized what everyone saw, a team with a better plan outperformed them, and it wasn't a coincidence. Better execution and one extremely dangerous weapon. Individually, I believe they were just making better reads off the switches. They made it really challenging because they were constantly looking for a way to get downhill or find someone else, and then collectively, I think we should take a little more pride in that. They had about 53 at half and finished with 102, so it doesn't seem like we were guarding much. Breanna Stewart was giving her plenty of space. She shoots it from the logo, she drills it, and right afterwards I think all Breanna Stewart could do is kind of laugh about it. I actually loved that moment. If you watched the game you caught the moment Clark hits a logo 3 in Stewart's face, and what does Stewie do? She smiles. That's not defeat, that's recognition. That's what greatness, respecting greatness, looks like. She didn't pout, she didn't roll her eyes, she grinned because she knew she just witnessed something special, even if it came at her own expense. Those defensive breakdowns Stewart talked about, they weren't just lap collapses, they were the result of Clark's magnetic force on the court. When one player can pull up from 35 feet and make it look like a layup, your defensive scheme falls apart before it even sets up. The Liberty got pulled in all directions trying to stop Caitlin, and in the chaos Indiana's shooters ate them alive. I mean, it's not defeating. Basketball's a game that runs in the same way like we go on runs. They do as well. They're a great team, so I don't think it's defeating. I think obviously we know what a great shooter she is, and I think we just gave her too many easy ones. And what made this post-game moment stand out even more, the total lack of ego. We've seen the media trying to stir up fake beef between Clark and the WNBA veterans, but instead of feeding that machine, Ionescu and Stewart did the opposite. They shut down the noise, they told the truth, and the numbers backed them up. The Fever shot lights out from deep, and it wasn't because the basketball gods were feeling generous, it was because Clark drew so much attention that her teammates were getting practice-level shots. Stewart also admitted something telling, that they overexerted their starters trying to keep up with Indiana's offense, and that's not just a coaching issue, that's psychological warfare. That's the Clark effect. She shifts the tempo, pulls the defense out of shape, and forces teams to abandon their rhythm just to stay in the race. That's what stars do, that's what leaders do, that's what MVPs in the making do. Yeah, look, obviously, we had to rely on these two players here, and we didn't get to the rim. Early in the game I think we had about 32 points in the paint in the first half, and we didn't get as wide many open ones as we did in the second half, and that's on the coaching staff. We got to make it a little bit easier for them in that regard, but they're switching, they're very disrupted, they're very physical, and we've got to be a better job at it executing that. Even Liberty coach Sandy Brondello didn't make excuses. The game wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. The Indiana Fever before Caitlin and the Indiana Fever after her are like 1000% different, and statistically, it was a massacre.